Hi and welcome to NPT's community class. Today's class is a progressive chair and barrel workout. I'm Sarah. Please, as you are following along this, if you're doing the exercises, be mindful of your bodies. Make sure that you're safe in the way you work your equipment and how your body is feeling on the day. I have lovely Katya over here. She will be joining us for today's session. Our session today is going to be really themed upon the idea of cross pattern or cross sling, left to rights. Think to yourself how we naturally move through our bodies when we walk, when we run. So we're going to hone in on rotation, tilts, obliques, and counterbalancing these movements. So I've got Katya here starting up on the spine corrector. So today we will be needing spine corrector, obviously the chair, some hand weights as well. Now, Katya's starting to work through her breath. She's been doing some diaphragmic or belly breathing initially, think three-dimensional barrel breath. And then now she's starting to hone in a little bit in her practice in regarding to intercostal breathing. So she's letting her rib cage span to the sides and to the back, and then exhaling, thinking about cinching her belt line in and finding that lovely deep center or core connection through her pelvic floor, TVA, multifidus, and diaphragm. Good. We'll start with some gentle spinal movements, some spinal articulation. Katya now is going to take an exhale here, and as she does, she's going to imprint into spinal flexion. So she's going to start to round into her lumbar. And she's careful that she's not going too far. As much as she's going back, she needs to go forwards, otherwise she will tumble off the arc. And then inhaling, I want her to use the hands on her knees to give her that lift into extension, focusing on that thoracic extension as the sternum slides up the front wall all the way up. Good. Long still through the back of the neck. Exhale, she wraps on under. So think again to yourself, this could be your seated cat stretch in a way. And then lengthening out, find that movement. Beautiful. It's a nice way to start the class. Using the breath for assistance with the exhale. And then inhale to really find openness through the sternum, work through the thoracic. Just be mindful we don't over-recruit into the lumbar, correct? So she did a little tweak, a little correction there already, noting that she may have over-tilted the pelvis. That's it. Beautiful. Good, and we'll just do one more of these. And thinking length, so not only getting that extension, but we're thinking how tall can we get that spine to be, and then returning. Good, we're going to scoot ourselves to the front of the step. To bring ourselves up to sit on the step a little bit more, Katya. So scooting the pelvis up a little bit on the step, and then bringing yourself down, so you can, yes, a little roll down. You might slide into the well a bit more, but I'll get that pelvis a little bit more forward. So there is a little bit of, we're not completely down in the well here. Good. And that is just for us. And this helps in the shoulders a little bit this way. Yeah. Good. All right. From here, place the hands behind your head. Go for your extension. Of course, we can always bring the pelvis back into the well, but it is a little bit more challenging for extension work and for our next work that we want to be doing here. Exhale to come back up. Hold. Bring your right leg up into tabletop. So we've got that cross pattern happening here, finding a little bit of engagement there. Now, as the leg does a single leg stretch, Katya's actually going to stretch over into extension. And then exhale to draw everything back into contract. Inhale to lengthen, but although she's lengthening, abs are still working hard. And her psoas is getting loaded in that lengthened, extended state and then drawing back in again, contracting. Now, shall we do 5 here, please? Good, she's got the foot anchored and down. And then we're going to add a little bit of rotation. I believe that was the 5th one. So as the knee pulls in, she's going to find her fuller rotation and then lengthen back out again. Good. So we're starting to think about that patterning of rotation just like we do through movement in our day-to-day life. Good. Once 5 are done, we will swap sides. Good. Good. When ready, lengthening, and then an exhale to draw back in. Good. Good. So even though we've got a nice stable pelvis, and we'll add that rotation coming up. And good. I want us to take a moment here to hone in on that position and keep it in our memory box for later on, as we might reflect on it a little bit in our standing work. Once 5 are complete here, I'll have Katja coming up onto the step. All right, we're moving straight into a few overheads. We're going to scoot ourselves up. We're going to sit on the step. So those sitting bones are right on the step. Legs will be together or in line with your sitting bones. We'll reach those arms forwards. Good. We're going to now find that imprint. We're going to roll it back. I know. Ooh, there it is. Good. Big stretch over. Circle those arms. Sweep them forwards. Imprint, exhale, we're rolling back up. So good. And we're doing this quite early in the session. So sitting tall, sitting tall, sitting tall. Good. And exhale, draw it back. So we could also have some ankle weights already sort of placed on top, giving her a little bit of support not to drive too much into her hip flexors and find her abs as well. Good. And although it can be challenging for the arms, there isn't a sense of assist. Oh dear, that does happen if she holds on to some ankle weight. Hand weights as well. So stacking up tall. We exhale, we draw it back. Good. We circle. Inhale to reach, and now exhale to deepen, and there we go. Those legs are already a little bit more anchored. Good. One more time with the weights. So you're thinking about the body who is in front of you, and the weights could be a challenge, or they could also be that little bit of extra assist to find the tummy muscles. Now you are going to now roll yourself back again one last time, please. And we're going to do a little bit of a reset. So you're going to bend your knees in for me. Good. You are going to scoot your tail to the edge. That's it. And then bring yourself over your up. I think we've gone a little bit too far. Let's get you back up there. So I want the scapulas on the apex there. So she is in a little bit of extension, and she should be feeling really open through the chest. Now you are always able to then leave the pelvis where it is, but I'd like to see Katja a little bit more challenged through her hip extensors. So she's going to give me a pelvic curl up. She's going to find openness through the front of the hips, spiraling the femurs inwardly, so she's got adductors engaged as well. And we do our supine arm series here. We're going to inhale to open the arms out to the sides and exhale to return. Good. How's that feeling for your neck? It's good. 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 So just having that holding position, she will be starting to find her lower glute fibers, her hamstrings saying hello. And we'll aim for our 8 here. And then we'll move straight into some switches. So on the switch, we will turn those weights to face the knees. Good. One arm goes overhead. You're going to be mindful. Katya's got some strong weight. She's at 1.5 kilos. She had been working with 1 kilograms, obviously, at the beginning, and then we try and progress into some strength and loading work here. Good control. We have that stop in the middle before we switch. So think this is your cross pattern, right? Opposite sides working. There's that cross-sling pattern occurring. Good, 4 each way, and then we'll move into our overheads. Good, with our overheads, we're going to bring the weights together to touch. So we're going to actually turn them. So the tips are what, yeah, and then we'll go here. So we'll close the chain off for this one. Good, and we're just monitoring. Good, that front connection. Good, so as those arms go over, yes, they're going to open up through the front, but I want that connection through the back occurring, so those scapulars are still nicely placed. Once 8 are complete, we'll land the tail back down and extend the legs. Lovely. All right, tail lands, extending the legs. We're going to turn those weights and we're going to just do one more big overhead and then sweep them around and roll ourselves all the way back up again and up the way. Good. Beautiful. Could you put those weights off to the sides for me, please? Thank you very much. And I'll get you to now lie down on your side. Good. I might have actually for this particular exercise to be a little bit more centered on the arc. That's it. Good. And a nice strong leg is anchored. Good. And then both hands go behind the head. So you're going to feel that drape over and that openness for the front and for the top side. Starting with a little bit of a switch on for the abductors, we're going to exhale to bring the leg up to hover and return. Good. I want it to be a prep. So we'll do our 6 here. We're just watching that we're not arching into that, into the extensors too much. It's balanced work between the extensors and the abdominals. Good. So the whole torso is nice and stable. I believe, Katja, this is your 6th one. You hold here. You bring the leg forward. This is your kick, like in mat work. Good, but no pulse here. Then return, point the toe, find your hip extensors. Good, one more time, just like this. Now as Katja brings that leg forward, she's going to rotate that chest towards the ceiling. Oh, to the ceiling. Yes, spinal rotation. Think spiral. Point, chest rotates. Good, and good, beautiful. And we've got 6 of these, Katja. Love it. So thinking about what we're wanting to achieve in this session, we want to get that nice sling pattern. Beautiful. Good. I've got a little bit of feedback, tactile feedback for Katja to keep that hip stable and work for that pivot point. Of course, there's going to be slight rotation, but we're trying to keep it as steady as possible. Land and anchor the foot. We move into our side lifts. You exhale to come up. Actually, I'm thinking lengthening as you lift, and we lower back down. Good. Let's do 3 here. I'm going to take it more as a prep before we add a little bonus. Good. Lovely. So there was your 3. Now we exhale to come up. We're going to hold that lift and we're going to rotate the chest towards the floor and bring the arms out to a T. Good. Keep lifting up into that thoracic. Yes. Rotate back, placing the hands back. And then lower yourself back down again. And we'll do 5 here in total. Exhale. In. There we go. Good, really important to keep that foot anchored to give yourself that guidance to lift that little bit more as we rotate. Good. Lovely work, Katya. Thank you. We do the other side. So we'll get Katya to turn away from the camera. It's always good to have a different perspective, a different angle here. And just noting her alignment of her spine. Good, so she's got length here. But as mentioned before, she's still got a front connection. So she hasn't overloaded into her extensors, but at the same time, they're balanced between her abs. Good, abduction first. Good, we're keeping the leg in parallel. So it won't be a super duper high lift, particularly since we're already on a diagonal due to the spinal corrector. So it's going to feel tough and a lot more loaded than if we were on the mat. Good, we do our 6, we'll keep it up and we'll add the kick forward. Good, without the pulse, so it's nice and controlled, it's smooth, we get that engagement, so you'll see that little crease zone. Good, so 2 as a prep, and now we're going to add that rotation as that leg comes forwards, we rotate, and then we sweep it back and we rotate the opposite way. You've got that cross-link pattern again happening. Beautiful. Nice. And Katya's completed her 6 here. She'll anchor the leg back down again for our side lifts. Good. So I really like to hone in a little bit with the instep of the foot. So just watching that clients don't roll their foot out, and it's not the sole of the foot, it's the instep. So therefore the ankle hasn't rolled out. And then from here we'll exhale as we come up. Good. We'll do 3 as a prep, and then we'll add 5 with rotation to 10. Lovely work. Reach. Good. Let's see that T position, Katya. Now hold it there and start to place the hands back behind your head. Now rotate. So breaking it down that little bit so we don't lose. Yes, exactly. Good. Beautiful work. Once she's completed 5, she can lay herself back down again. All right, she's got toasted. Beautiful. We're going to hop up. We're going to just switch the spine corrector just a little bit further away. We will come back to it. We are going to move into some leg and footwork next. So we're moving into some strong double springs here. And I'm going to have Paget sitting on her chair. She's been doing leg and footwork doubles for a period of time now, and obviously because this has been through intro and basic, we're in progressive level now quite strongly. We're going to have hands behind the head. We're going to work into heels. We're going to just double check always that we're nicely in line. She's done a good job setting herself up, and we're going to be watching for that connection at the front and watching we don't arch into that thoracic too much and that lumbar too much. Good, Katya, off you go. You have your 8. Good. So really focusing not only obviously when we press down, you've got your quad work, but you've also got that lovely balance from underneath with the hamstrings that flex the knees. You've got your deep hip flexor muscles and lower tummy, really finding that contraction to bring those thigh bones back into the sockets and to be lifted in and back. Good. Yes, please. So pressing down for me halfway. We'll go toes parallel. Good. And we'll keep moving through these. We're nice and stable through the pelvis. We are checking sitting bones are lovely and anchored. Good. She's using her breath for that control. Good. And her elbows are at peripheral. She does it right here. Then we'll move straight into toes in a V. Good. Well, you know, we don't press the pedal all the way down, so we don't want any spillage of the pelvis. And once she's done here, the 3 positions, we'll go into wide heels next with a torso change. So with wide heels, you're going to bring that pedal all the way back up towards the shoulders. Good. We're keeping our position here. As we exhale, we are going to be pressing down, but we're going to tilt. We're going to lift up, off, and feel like that rib cage is lifting up and over, and then returning as the pedal comes down. We alternate sides. We're still doing our 8, so 4 per side. What I want us to be really careful of is with us tilting that the pelvis stays still, and it happens from that lift up from the obliques. Good. So maybe that might mean the pedal doesn't go down so far as well. So monitoring that stability there. Good. Once 8 are done, we are going to press halfway down, go onto our toes in that wide position, and bring the pedal back up again. This time around, as we press, I want us to rotate to one side. So thinking, can you spiral? Think about the thorax, the breastplate rotating and alternating your sides. Find that twist. Good. Watching the head, doesn't it drop as we rotate? Good. Yes, lovely. Good. Particularly with rotations, you're going to be watching those kneecaps. They don't twist and sway with the rotation. So they're definitely still very much pointing forwards. Good. Once those are complete, we're going to take the legs off carefully. Legs off the feet off the pedal. That would be interesting. And we're going to hop off. Good. All right. We'll move into standing forward, press down, or washing balloon 1, where Kasha's going to be standing at the front of the chair. I do want a stronger spring than just 1. We're going to go on a low 2, so we will be quite closer to the chair. Arms will come up. Good, and we've got our first roll down to find the pedal. Because we're quite close, that we've got some deep flexion occurring, checking in the shoulders are drawn away, and those arms are like little pillars. They're engaged into the pedal, but they're also pulled back into their sockets. We press down, drawing the head right underneath. So we really watch that, the head, that's it. Good. From our next exhale, we're going to deepen as that pedal comes up a little bit, and then we go back down again. Now to just adjust that left foot for me a little bit back into parallel. So there's that little bit of rotation in one foot that we've just corrected. And we're only going to do 5. Once 5 are complete, we're going to bring the pedal just back up to its start position, but we're still rounded here. Good. Now just going to now pivot her feet to a diagonal. Yes. Even more if you can. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. But try and keep the shoulders still square to the pedal. We're going to now inhale to press back down again. Good. And then exhale back up, and you're definitely going to start to feel into that oblique now, into that one side a lot more. Good. We have 5 here before we go to the other. So looking good on the last one. She'll just bring the pedal up to its rest position and pivot back through parallel and pivot the other way. Good. We reset. Good. So that's it. And exhale into that slide. Good. Strong work. Once 5 are complete, I'm going to get Kasia to come back to parallel and just give me 1 in parallel. Just so she squares her shoulders and her hips up. Good, so last one, she's going to challenge the depth. She's going to see if she can go a little bit further. Yes, and then deepen into those abs and roll all the way up this time. Good, all the way, stacking the pelvis on top of the legs, ribs on top. Hold and open those arms nice and wide. Ooh, delicious, hopefully. All right, we are still here in front of the pedal. I'm going into 1 high sprint. We are moving into standing single leg press. So Katja's going to be about a good foot away. We're going to have hands behind the head. Good. So we're nice and upright. We'll pick a leg. I don't mind which. We've got to do both. But let's bring that leg and hold for balance. Good. Do you want that patty with the mat, or would you like a with the ground? Okay. So we're doing the side adjustment. Our mats here are quite thick and spongy. So definitely there for a little bit of we'll find the ground a little bit better for stability. Okay. Good. So the foot will then come back onto the pedal. That's it. Making sure we've got that heel elevated. That's it. That's it. Good. Standing leg is nice and parallel. We'll start here with a press down and a control to bring up. Good. Heel up for me a little bit more, Katja. That's it. That's it. And so you're going to pull the pedal in towards you before you lower it back down again. So watching the arc of the pedal. It's not just down and up. You're arcing it. Good. 4. 1 more. 4. And then we're going to just sort of have a little play here, Kasia. You're going to keep that pedal where it is and just rotate your chest to the right. So it's rotating over the front knee. Good. Now press the pedal back down as you square the torso up. Good. Now as that knee comes up, rotate towards that knee. Good. Again, it's that crossing, it's that patterning. If you think about how it reflects in the way that we walk and we run. Good. And only if your client is feeling pretty okay with this and enjoying the challenge, will I add something more? Kasia, would you like to? Let's add something. A little bit more. Excellent. All right. So she's going to press. Now, keep her there. We're going to rotate the chest towards the knee, but this time add some flexion. So think about that crisscross position. Now, pressing the pedal down, you're going to lift that torso up back into upright and square. Good. And then again, as that pedal comes up, we're watching we don't hip hinge. So we're not diving low, we're getting that real deep, deep connection. And lovely contraction. We have 4 here. Beautiful. We're going to take a moment, make sure our exit is just as pretty. Leg comes up, we hold, whoop, and then we bring it back down again. Good. Check it out if need be. We're on to the second leg. Strong pillars. We're right underneath that pelvis. We bring a second leg up. Good. We're balanced here. That heel is elevated. We draw the pedal towards us and it lowers down almost to the platform, but still hovered and then it returns. We've got 4 here. Good, so I would only really give this to a client who's been doing these standing leg presses for a while and is feeling nice and stable and wanting a little bit more challenging work. Good, so add that rotation. Yes, and then press the square up. So as the knee drives up with control, she rotates. Good, standing leg is strong. It's pushing through the floor. That kneecap is pulling up. So it's balance work between the front and the back of that leg. Forward rotation, then forward rotation and flexion. Good, and that flexion I want to happen through more or less of the thoracic whilst keeping the lumbar relatively neutral. And we've confused ourselves a little bit here. And that's okay. We're going to keep the legs still, Katya, rotate the chest. Find a little bit of depth now, like you're doing a crisscross. Good, and now square up as you press the pedal back down again. There you go, well done. Good. Good, so you want to keep the pelvis still so it doesn't sway off as she does the rotation. So again, thinking, where does it come from? Think from thoracic. Want that thoracic doing the flexion. Good. 4 done, we find some balance. We return. Nicely done, Katya. The legs are awake. All right. We'll work into a little bit of extension. I'm going to tweak the chair a little bit forwards from camera's viewing. And I'm going to go for a little bit of a lower spring, but still at one spring. And I'm going to have Katya in what I call a basic back extension prep. So the grooves of the hips will be to the edges of the chair, lying down on our tummy here. Hands will be on the pedal. I want legs today to be in parallel. Good, but they're still strong. Heels are reaching out. Hamstrings are drawn in. And we're going to just press that pedal where we find a neutral position through the spine. So we're not going to have the pedal land, but we're nice and neutral. Think like your front supports your quadruped position, supported by the chair. Shoulders are drawn in, lats are drawing down. We're going to move into a little bit of extension work first here. But I want us to focus on the thoracic. So I want the base of the rib cage to remain down on the chair. And then we're going to exhale to lower back down again. So we start working here. Understanding we lead through the crown of the head. Collarbones are still broad. Lots of work happening between the shoulder blades, those extensors there. Good. At the same time, that coccyx is growing long. So we're just watching as we lift into extension. The tailbone doesn't start to lift up towards the ceiling. We want to create a little bit of space for the lumbar. So tummy still remains very much wrapped and engaged. Good. Let's just do one more. Good, so I'm asking Katya's base of the rib cage to remain on the chair. And that feels really nice to get a little bit of work for that thoracic. Then let's find a mini extension. So I want us to make sure that as we press the pedal down, we don't round the shoulders. Good. Right leg lifts up. So you're going to find your hip extensors to float the leg up, keeping it nice and parallel. Good. Now, opposite arm, here you go. Here's our cross sling, reaches forwards. It's your swimming position. Good. Lower the leg and lower the arm. Alternate. Good. And returning. So, working hard is the arm that remains on the pedal as well. holding it still. We're watching, we're not overdoing any rotational work. Instead, we're feeling the engagement through the extensors of our shoulders and our hips. Good, one more to complete. Good. From here, we're going to wiggle ourselves forwards. So we're going to bring the pelvis now on top of that chair. So the legs will be hovered up. We're going to find our our plank or our front support position. Strong for the legs, navel drawn in. Let's bring that pedal up a little bit higher, Katya. That's it. Hold it here. Think pull up for those abs that little bit more. Good, don't lift up yet. Don't lift up yet. That's it. Collarbones broader. That's it. Here we go. Inhale, we lift. I want you to go lifting the abdominal wall as well. And again, good. Use my feet into my hands. Give her a little bit of extra engagement through her hip extensors. Good. So she's not only just lifting from her thoracic. Yes, by now the lumbar is going to start to work, but I want the whole back chain. So I want this to almost be her pivot point. Lift. Yes. Good. One more time, Katya. Up, 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 up. Beautiful work. Good, careful there. Bring the pedal down and wiggling yourself off. Nicely done. Oh, she won. I'm going to reposition the arc. So I'm going to just take that chair away. Thank you, Katya. And we're going to bring it in the middle, but to a point where there's still clearance for her head to land here. We will move into some leg strap work in this from the barrel position. So Katya, you're actually going to sit on the step to safely get on. Then you're going to roll yourself back. Good. From this position, you're going to assist with your feet. Hands can land on the arc, and you're going to keep doing a little shuffle to slide yourself back. Good. So her shoulders and her head have landed. Her lower back and pelvis is supported by the arc. Her legs are up to perpendicular. You're watching that we haven't over-recruited into the back. We're connected through not only the back, but also the front. Good. For today, I'd like parallel legs, reaching for the heels to get a little bit more engagement and length through the back of the legs. We're going to start with a scissor. So one leg will come forwards as the other one lowers. And as this leg lowers, I want you to find those hip extensors. Yes. Good, 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 good. Come back through to center, meet at the middle. We swap sides. Inhale to open. Exhale to bring it back in again. Super stable through the pelvis. Good. Katya will do 4 more. Good. So we've got that lengthening load here for the hip flexor, for the leg that's coming down, but also the support from the hamstrings being active. Once those are complete, I want us to move into some openings. So with the openings, we'll go into a slight external rotation. You inhale, using the abductors to bring the legs apart, and then exhale to draw in with the adductors. And we have our set here. Good. We want to work evenly with both legs. So I'm going to just check or monitor that one leg is not a little bit bigger in range than the other. Good. We do our 8 here and we'll bring feet back into parallel. Good. From parallel here, we're moving them parallel and together, lifts and lowers. So challenging work for the abs, supported by the hamstrings behind us, and then exhale to bring them back up again. Good. And inhale. and exhale. Really important to hone in on this movement because it does lead to so many others, and that is your corkscrew and your rollovers. Good. So challenging, lowering those legs down whilst maintaining the abdominal wall, still drawing in. And let's just do one more here. Keeping the legs as they are, let's give them a slight turn out. Good, and do pendulum. So you're going to inhale to tip the legs to one side. The pelvis will tilt, but we're keeping ourselves nice and secure with the arm load and the shoulders, and we're turning back. Good, other side, inhale. Good. And returning. So as we tip left and right, we're just watching that those legs don't start to come forwards too much as well. Good, and we've just got one more to do here, Katya. Good, and we're going to bring it all together to create the corkscrew. So we're going to take the legs to one side with an inhale. We exhale, semicircle around to the other side, and then return the legs straight through. Inhale, tip, exhale around to return. And inhale, around and return. And one more set here. And beautiful. How are we doing there? Good, good. All right. Roll overs. Finding that hip extension, finding that length for the legs. We're going to take those legs 45 degrees. We're going to exhale. We take those legs over, bring the hips off. Now, we are going to keep those legs parallel to the floor. Gravity will want to take them. We want to lift the sitting bones up, not the legs, the sitting bones. And then from here, we separate the legs and roll it back. Good, good, good. And as we come back, landing the pelvis, we circle the legs around and return. And again, we go exhale over. Flex, separate, not too wide, and then so just shoulder width apart, and then bigger here as we come around. Good, and we go again. Exhale to go over, just separate to shoulder width, and then roll it back. Once the tail lands, then separate them bigger for the circle and point your toes, point your toes. Good, so the toes are pointed as we go over. We flex, separate, and we roll back. And love it. One more for these. And good. So we're watching that we're not losing that we're not finding too much compression. Good. Well done, Katya. That'll do. So bending the legs, we are going to now push the arm away safely from good. And we're going to bring ourselves up. And we're just going to move into a front support. Okay, to pike before a cat. All right, so hands will come in for me, please, Katja, and you'll walk your feet out to plank. That's it, front support. Good. So we've got a moment here to just set ourselves up nice and long through the crown, reaching through the heels, tummy drawn in. She tips the pelvis up, we shift the weight back, we drop the heels, we find length through the spine and openness through the shoulders. Watching we don't over dip into that thoracic. Pivot back through the shoulders and in hips. Good. And find our strong front support position. Good. We tip it back. Drawing the heels down. That's it. And rising up and through. Good. Last one here. Katja, stay here. Sorry. Good. On this next pike, stay in pike. Leave them here. Lower the heels. Now give me a lovely exhale as you lift the heels back up and feel the sitting bones winding up to the ceiling as you do so. Now lower those heels back down again. So we're not shifting our weight further forwards, and lift the sitting bones to lift the heels. Ah, that's lovely. I can see that change in the pelvis. Good. 3 more like that. Good. And then you can bend the knees. Shift your weight forwards and land. Good. Cat stretch to finish with. We can stay here in this position. You're going to exhale, scoop the tummy round up. Good. And then inhale. Pivot through the hips, pivot through the shoulders. Find that extension. Good. And again. Good. And I'm just keeping the pelvis over the knees. That's it. And we'll just do one more here. And lengthening out. Good. And then we're going to find our kneeling position facing the other way for a lunge stretch to finish with. What I'd love to do, and this is because Katya's got good knees, is to bring the back foot up onto the arc. So bringing the knee in close. Yes. So hello, quad. With that foot up, we're going to get a lot more quad stretch happening. But I also want us to have a little think about the stretch that is in your high barrel series, the quad stretch here. So having that foot up on that rung, the high barrel as well. So Katya's going to have her hands behind her head. Good. You're going to walk walk the foot a little bit more forwards for me off that foot. Yeah. So now you can go into a little bit of a deeper lunge. That's it. Hold it there. Good. Feeling balanced? Feeling okay? Good. Right arm reaches up for the ceiling. And then we're going to tip over that side. Returning. Both hands back behind the head. Good. One little thoracic extension, so lift that sternum up. And then just returning the sternum back on top. Good. You're going to safely put the hands beside you to adjust and change positions. We're walking that foot a little bit further forward, so we've got somewhere to lunge to. And as we shift that pelvis forward, so just watching that we keep connecting through the front and winding the pubic bone a little bit forwards and up. Good. Feeling good there? Yep. Nice. Let's add a little bonus. Let's reach the arm up and we go over. And then we reposition the hand behind the head for one final extension here, lifting that sternum. Returning to a stacked position, hands safely come back down. Good, and we come out of our position. Well done, Katya. Thank you very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed the class, and I'll see you next time.